Hey folks, this is Kalani. The BlizzCon Q&A had a whole bunch of useful information to sift through, and there were quite a few interviews with members of the community which had little nuggets of expansion news which weren't mentioned anywhere else. So here's 15 cool little features or updates you might not have heard about. So first up, going into the Battle of Azeroth, we're going to have another stat squish. You may have noticed on quite a few of the screenshots that have been shown of the Heart of Azeroth system that the item level and stats of the players being previewed are significantly lower than what we can see in Legion today. Going all the way back down to below 200 item level seems quite crazy. From the reports and rumours I've seen coming from BlizzCon and the players who have been able to sit down with the playable demos there, our health will be back down to around 16,000, so I imagine the damage numbers will be reined in significantly as well. I like that we've already experienced a stat squish once already, so we know it's not all doom and gloom on the other side. It will be nice getting back to some sane numbers which we can read easily without having to throw thousands or millions at the end. While our health and damage numbers might be going down, the amount of abilities we have looks like it's going up. The dev team will be bringing back raid-wide buffs like Arcane Intellect and Mark of the Wild, so expect to have to juggle those bonuses again to make sure you have at least one of each. It's nice to see our raid buffs back in the game, and I would expect to see a few other abilities which were pruned going into Legion return to our spellbooks. Warfronts are one of the new features coming into the World of Warcraft in Battle of Azeroth, where you get to play a game of Warcraft 3 in Arathi Highlands and other yet to be announced locations. You build up a base and collect lumber and everything. It looks so cool. These Warfronts award a variety of goodies, but one of the coolest rewards is the special Alliance and Horde armors. These sets look amazing and really want me to re-roll a warrior just to get the most use out of them. I wonder if we'll have armor type varieties. I would fully expect that to be the case unless they allow clothies to run around looking like a full plate warrior. Either way, I'm excited to see what else comes out of the Warfronts if this is the kind of rewards we can expect. Now you probably know about the Heart of Azeroth feature and how all that's going to work, but we'll also have a similar system to Artifact Knowledge, which allows us to catch up a bit quicker as the expansion unfolds. This time though, our base amount of Azerite that we earn from various activities won't be increasing. Instead, the amount of Azerite required to level up our medallion will reduce. That means we shouldn't see any crazy numbers in the millions for Azerite rewards, which will be a welcome change. Seeing as we'll be using a new artifact with the Heart of Azeroth, we're going to have to get rid of our old ones. At least that seems like the plan for the time being. But what about the abilities which are so pivotal in our rotations? Some classes just don't work without those abilities, but rest assured. Some of them will be included into the talent trees going into Battle for Azeroth. We know that Wake of Ashes for Retribution Paladins, Phoenix Flames for Fire Mages, and Loaded Dice for Outlaw Rogues will all become talents. I'm sure most of the abilities will be included where it makes sense, though with them being included as talents means that you might not actually get to use them depending on the other talents on the same row. An interesting choice to say the least. For those curious about the new allied race, the Void Elves, and how they will work, it seems like their special Void features and aesthetic might end up being a toggle option. The way it works right now for the demo is that whenever they enter combat, they also enter their Void state, but the dev team feels that might be a bit too often or uncontrollable, so it might end up being a simple toggle option. The dev team is eager to hear our thoughts and preferences in the beta test to really get things ironed out. It's not just the new races that have a bunch of cool new additions. Now that the Allied Races system is being implemented, it's a good time to go back and look at all the other customization options the dev team can implement to the older races of Warcraft. Most notably, there will be an option to allow you to choose whether or not your orcs have a back problem. You can change between hunched over orcs and straight standing orcs. It's about time we joined Thrall the Chiropractor. This is going to be a customization option that is changeable at the barbershop as well, so don't worry about having to pay real cash every time you want to change between good posture and bad posture. This opens up the floodgates for including pretty much any variation of any races that Blizzard would want to add. We don't have real confirmation that trolls will be able to do the same thing, but seeing as Zandalari trolls don't seem to have the same hunching over problem, they might allow trolls to change between straight and hunched over as well. Any number of additional customization options could end up coming our way between now and when the Battle for Azeroth releases, and I'm super excited to see what they decide to include. Now, new character options and new races is all fine and dandy, but what about some extra space so we can create all of these awesome new characters without having to delete some of our old ones? Well, how does 6 new character slots per realm sound? Because that's what we're going to be getting. It makes sense with there being 6 new playable races. I would hate having to choose between creating a Lightforged Draenei or a Dark Iron Dwarf, and it looks like I won't have to, providing I don't want to create an entire new army of alts, that is. If you're playing a Goblin or a Worgen and you're sat in the corner with a really sad face because nothing was announced about Goblin or Worgen updates, it's okay. I'm here to give you a pat on the back and a hug to make you feel just a little better. While we might not see Goblin and Worgen updates right as the expansion launches, they are still in the pipeline, so if we don't see them at launch, expect to see them soon after. Hopefully they'll get tuned up to be more in line with the rest of the crew, and we might even see some new customization options, and maybe less Chihuahua like Worgen. It's kind of rare that we get to see updates to parts of the old world, but both Orgrimmar and Stormwind will be updated slightly to include an embassy location in each capital. We don't have much information, or any pictures really due to how private Blizzard wanted this to be, but according to the write-up on Blizzard Watch, each embassy is made up entirely of garrison assets, so these buildings might be tied to the new Warfronts feature. They might also have something to do with the new Allied Races feature, as you can see the faction leaders all gathered around discussing the potential of the allied races in their respective embassies. The Alliance embassy also has a special guest, Rathian, that can only spell trouble for the future. If you're curious about the fate of the legendary system, then wonder no more. Legendaries will not be returning for the Battle of Azeroth in the same system, so anyone who has been hoping and wishing that they would just do away with the entire system from Legion can rest assured. No more random legendary grind that we know of so far. On the topic of systems people don't seem to like all that much, TITANFORGES will still be in the game and will function mostly in the same way, except there's going to be 3 slots of gear that it won't apply to. Your helm, shoulder and chest slots won't be able to TITANFORGE at all because they're tied to a new system and your new artifact, the Heart of Azeroth. It all looks really cool, and I'm glad we don't have to worry about TITANFORGing when those pieces seem to be so powerful already. There's also going to be a change to something that we've been asking for a very, very long time. The starting backpack size is going to be increased at some point in the future, but it will be tied to protecting your account with an authenticator. Remember, you can get the authenticator app for your phone, so securing your account and getting some extra bag space for your trouble shouldn't actually be that much trouble. It's a really smart move to tie those things together to better motivate people to use an authenticator. There's nothing worse in the world of Warcraft than having your account hacked and stolen. A key topic that came up a whole bunch in Legion, and quite a bit recently actually, is flying and how long it takes before we're allowed to fly in the new expansion zones. Apparently the dev team is pretty happy with how Legion played out and said flying for the Battle of Azeroth will likely be unlocked in a similar fashion. I imagine that means we'll have quite a few reputations we'll need to get cozy with, and some typical exploration achievements like exploring the new zones, collecting treasures, and maybe even killing off a few rare monsters. I personally like how flying was handled so far in Legion, so it's great news to me that things will be the same in the next expansion. Now, for those of you who don't really care about the Battle for Azeroth and want to get back to their roots and back to a time where none of this has even happened, the Legion didn't invade, the Iron Horde didn't exist, the world is in one piece, and the only worries we have is whether or not we'll get 40 people to raid tonight. I might have some bad news for you. Even though the classic WoW servers were announced, it seems like this might take longer than any of us really realized. I don't think these servers are going to be in our hands anytime soon, at least. The dev team said they'll be working on it, but they also said it's going to take quite a long time to get something functional which they're happy with. There's also a bunch of problems when it comes to bugs that existed back then, cheats and exploits, and changes they made during vanilla. Which version of vanilla is the right version? There are a lot of patches. How many changes do they make? Do they keep everything the same and allow exploits and bugs to run rampant, or do they polish everything up and make sure everything works? They have a lot of questions they need answers to, and I hope they keep the community in mind when making those decisions. But at the end of the day, we might not be in vanilla World of Warcraft for quite a while. And that's the most important information I thought you would appreciate. That came from the Q&A, various interviews with members of the community, and of course various websites. Some really good info in there. The Q&A especially has been getting better and better each year. So that's it for this video. What are you looking forward to most? Is there anything you're super stoked for? Leave all your thoughts and theories in the comments section below. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave, and if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always I will see you next time.